Today we're going to talk about effective communication skills module. And in this module, we're going to talk about the role of perception in communication, role of active listening. What are the key elements when it comes to communication? And what are the barriers in communication, so on and so forth. So let's begin with this topic, that is effective communication, wherein we are going to talk about what is communication, knowing the mediums of communication, understanding the importance of communication, what is the process, what are the factors that affect the communication, understanding the 7 C's of communication, and at the end we'll do a conclusion of this topic. So let's understand what is communication. Now what is communication? It's nothing but sharing of information, thoughts and ideas from one person to another, or from one person to a group of people, or vice versa. Every communication involves 2 people, that is a sender and a receiver. Listening also plays a key role when it comes to communication. What are the mediums of communication? Basically, there are 4 mediums. The first is known as the verbal, wherein we use words. We communicate by using words. The second one is known as a non-verbal, wherein we use our body language to communicate the message. It could be our posture, our gestures, the eye contact, so on and so forth. The third one is known as the pictorial, wherein we make use of logos, images or pictures to depict the message or the communication that we are sharing across. And the fourth one is the written communication, wherein email being the common form of having communication in the written format. Going forward, let's understand why communication is important. Now, communication is important because we want to understand others. At the same time, we also expect others to understand us. Communication is also important to build strong relations. Whatever that happens from your professional life to your social gatherings and everything in between, that is why communication is important. Going forward, let's understand what is the process of communication. When it comes to a process, basically there are 7 elements involved. The first element is known as the sender, wherein the sender sends a message. That is, he or she encodes it. Now this message passes across through a channel. Now after going through channel, the receiver who is there, he or she decodes that message and gives a feedback. Now, this circle that we saw, it is just one way of communication. A communication is complete only when the sender receives a feedback from the recipient. That is when you can say that the communication process is complete. It is a 2-way process and just not a 1-way process. Going forward, now what are the factors that affect communication? The first factor is known as the physiological factors. It could be, a closed door or a wall or a huge area. Now the barriers could be like the closed door. If I am communicating across, of course the message will not reach. If the area is very big and you're trying to send a message standing here to the other side of the wall, communication becomes difficult. The second factor that affects is the environmental factors, the noise, disturbance and congestion. Take an example. If you're standing at a junction or on a busy road and you're trying to communicate your message across, I'm sure we all know that the message is going to be a failure because there are a lot of disturbances which is going to make it difficult for the recipient to understand. The third factor is psychological barriers. What is your emotional state? Is the person who is listening or to whom are you communicating, is there the emotional state is balanced so that he and she can understand? So emotional factors does matter. And the last factor, the barrier, is cultural barrier. Having different attitudes, different customs and different belief makes a communication message to be sent across little difficult. Going forward, let's understand the 7 C's of communication. The first C is known as the completeness. It helps to build trust. So whatever message that you're sending across, ensure that the message is complete. The second C is known as conciseness. That is, keep your message short and sweet. That is, to the point. It also saves time. The third C is consideration, which brings about stability. That is, be considerate of the other person for whom are you sending this message. The fourth C is clarity, which makes comprehension easier. That is, keep your message very clear so that it's easy for the person to understand. The fifth C is concreteness. It reinforces your confidence only because whatever message that you're sending across, you're backing it up with data, facts and figures. That is how you bring a concreteness to your communication. The sixth C is courtesy, improves relations. Courtesy is nothing but understanding the other person's state. The seventh C is correctness. It again builds up confidence because whatever message you're sharing across has to be correct. There should be no false message you are sending across. So please be very careful on this. Going forward, communication works for those who work for it. Communication is not so easy. There are a lot of factors involved. One has to be a good listener. Also, whatever message that you're sharing across, please ensure that it is clear and easy for the person to understand. And my dear friends, please ensure that only if you receive a feedback from the recipient, that is when you have communicated your message clearly. Otherwise, it's a failed communication. That's all in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for some more.